Right, who wants to speak?
Oh yeah, dead silence.
Hello and welcome to Ben's Top 100 Movies. We
Finally.
watched Shutter Island finally, because I got COVID.
Matt got COVID
shit.
after I
Just kind of
explicitly
cold
asked you not to get COVID. You went ahead and got COVID.
Yeah, you really jinxed it by ending the last episode with as long as we don't get COVID.
As long as we don't get COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with those, now we're on to episode 98.
No, we're on episode 3, but movie number 98.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay.
The 98th
Skipped out
best
the last
movie of all
90
time, according to
episodes.
Ben, who
Yeah.
this episode is wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers. Shutter Island.
I've been
Matt.
wrong about the others, so you'd put
Well,
them
the
up
other ones,
higher.
we actually put them higher, but it's not like you can go down from the 100th.
Okay.
Like, we put them within the top 100.
All right. Okay.
Alright, first of all, let's hit us with a synopsis from the get-go.
Okay, a synopsis.
We are actually recording this time.
Yeah, we are actually recording.
I should also mention, so my name's Stuart, I'm joined with Ben, he's the titular character, we've got Matt, and we've got our bonus friend, Simon.
Yay.
He was sort of here and he wanted to escape the apocalypse with us because it's boiling hot.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like one of our side friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Aw.
we're slowly stewing in our own juices.
Yes,
So if
it
our
is.
sanity...
Hot.
So much like Leonardo without a cappuccino, if we start losing sanity and going nuts, that's because of the heat, and that means we've got to turn the fans back on. And
I thought it would just be if we lost sanity because of the influence of the masterpiece that we've just watched, which is Shutter Island.
Yeah,
But, you know.
to be debated. Synopsis.
Okay, Shutter Island. It said the year, but I scrolled down. The implausible escape of a brilliant murderess brings U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels (brackets Leonardo D'Onofrio) and his new partner Mark Ruffalo to Ashcliff Hospital, a fortress-like insane asylum located on a remote, windswept island. The woman appears to have vanished from a locked room, and there are hints of terrible deeds committed within the hospital walls. As the investigation deepens, Teddy realizes he will have to confront his own dark fears, such as water that he forgets about, if he hopes to make it off the island alive.
I spent the first 10 minutes of this movie wondering why they were there. Like, who the fuck cares if this woman disappeared or not? She murdered her children as far as he's concerned.
I mean, they still hunt for, like, missing prisoners.
But they're on an island and stuff. And that obviously...
Yeah, but
this
people
is going
can
to be
die on an island.
I know, but okay, full spoilers and stuff from the get-go.
The
As
plot
far as-
didn't happen.
The plot didn't happen, that's the spoiler. But as far as me, first-time viewer, I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't care, man. Like, why are you so invested in this? And then 30 hours later, that's when we find out about Lotus. Or something.
I mean, you did fall asleep for some
He
of
didn't
it.
fall asleep.
Yes,
He
you
did
know,
shut his eyes for
straight up.
about 20 seconds.
Straight up fell asleep. I was so tempted to throw something at him.
Yeah.
I fell asleep
I was
because
the
the
one who
movie
pointed
was...
it out.
I fell asleep because the movie was fucking boring.
You said you were tired. You specifically said, "Oh, I'm quite tired, actually."
I was a little tired, but boring movies make me extra tired.
I mean, if you're tired, being bored will put you to sleep.
I feel like
Yeah.
there's a thin line between boring and slow burn.
Right. Thank you.
I fell asleep to Murder on the Orient
thin,
Express.
boring line.
I feel like there's a bit of a theme here with like mysteries that it's just not kind of.
I
Like,
stayed
Well,
awake.
I
for-
also didn't like this movie very much because it's meant.
Really?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
telling you
thank
during the
you-
movie.
Thank,
But
yeah,
like,
thanks,
I
thanks
do
for that.
like mysteries. I didn't fall asleep during the Orient Express. I fell asleep during Iron Man 3.
One of the great
That's not actually
mysteries of
true. My
modern
mum
cinema.
fell asleep during Iron Man 3, and I like to remind her of it. Because like everyone thinks exploding and people are dying, and like
Do you know that?
he calls a child a pussy, and my mum's just like in the
Do you know
cinema.
what? That's just. Oh, sorry, this is a bit of a tangent, but like just talking of movies that we've fallen asleep in. I remember, I believe that I fell asleep when I went to cinema and saw. Is it Furious 7? Is that the seventh one in Fast and Furious? Okay, no, some of them are just fast. Some of them are like Fast and Furious.
Heat stroke is a slow
Fast,
killer.
7 Furious.
No. Like that's the thing, though, right? Like there's like Fast 5. Like they don't call it Fast and Furious 5. So that's why I was just trying to like differentiate. I don't know why they do that.
I gotta say, the 7th one was the 7th one.
Okay, right, but besides that, all right, fuck, right, whatever. Right, can we curse?
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
such
yeah,
a
yeah.
great
Whatever-
side friend.
Right, so fuck it. Whatever the 7th one in the Fast and the Furious series is called, I believe it's it's just Furious 7. I don't think Fast makes an appearance in there, and that's probably appropriate because.
Furious.
Well, I just thought it was so weird because like there's so much like explosions and like fast engine revving and everything, but at the same time like nothing happens. I will say I found Shutter Island more exciting than Furious 7 for all of its explosions and supposed excitement.
Are there any Fast and Furious movies in your top 100? Because I haven't seen any.
Are they in anyone's top 100?
Some people really love those movies.
Oh, you get turned on and titillated by explosions. I was turned on and titillated by the fucking movie's poor fucking editing and weird. What's the camera movement called where it just flicks across?
The sort of swipes across.
Yeah. Like I've only
Pans, that's the word.
I only ever see pans like that in comedies. I've only ever seen them in the Edgar Wright movies, and
like
it just takes me
like
right
look
out
at the
of
buildings. It cuts from like the second one to the third one. It just sweeps across linearly and then stops.
Like I kept expecting it to pull a Wes Anderson and stuff. This is building A. This is building B. And that is the fun house. We just keep it here because it's fun. And that's building some shit.
I was actually going to bring up the Wes Anderson thing because he does use those shots. Like a lot of the ones that you see in this film, but it doesn't take me out of the experience or anything. I just think that's
it did
way
for
of
me
shooting,
because I was already bored.
It took me out of the experience because there is no experience. It's a phrase I like. It's over stylized fucking drivel. Like
Okay, so would
I mean,
you
it's not
feel the
drivel.
same
It
way?
makes sense. It's just boring.
Would you feel the same way about the sweeps in Star Wars? Because I feel like that's kind of a bit
That's
of
a transition,
thing,
though.
isn't it?
No. George Lucas planned those. Well, I say he didn't create the suite.
No.
Spiral
Sorry.
shit.
No,
Yeah.
I misspoke. What I meant is
fun.
that like fast camera pan is a bit of a Scorsese thing. No, like he's done that in other movies as well.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is like
I'm trying to think
by
of any
that
other example.
by that logic, isn't like the whole sweep thing in like Star Wars kind of similarly distracting because it's not just like a regular.
But
car.
that's a transition. But
is that not a transition as well? Like you're going from one.
Okay,
angle
but they
to another?
don't.
Well,
okay.
as in a scene transition. Like in one of the later Star Wars,
I
they
feel
do
that's
like a
semantics
spiral
now.
wipe as some sand is blowing in the shot they cut to, and it's like actually kind of clever looking, but also it's a spiral wipe, so it's funny.
But in Star Wars, they don't kill Han Solo and stab him to death, and then whoop, up to Chewie.
No, but they didn't do that in this movie. It was like I sort of saw it as like a point of view thing where it's like
He's looking across.
Right,
but
yeah,
it shouldn't
exactly.
be perfectly steady swipe.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like FOV.
It was just.
FOV, what am I thinking
It was
of?
a weird decision.
That's field of view.
I thought
it
it
wasn't
served
point
a
of view.
purpose. I thought it served a purpose.
But like, how else would you transition that scene? Because you could do like.
You could have just cut to the next building. Like,
I mean, it looks a bit sharp, isn't it?
I mean, it was pretty fucking distracting the way they did do it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. Like it's just
No, because like he says like, all right, this is building A, and then it cuts back to him, and then it says building B, and it cuts back to the shot of the first one, and then swipes across. That's what's weird and jarring. You could have just cut to the second one, or like panned away from him, but cutting back to what you were looking at before and then going across is weird.
Well, you didn't. You didn't study film, so your opinion doesn't count.
Have
please.
you know I did the extra course at Isha for the lunchtime film.
Actually, me too. I took film
Well, I did
studies
filmmaking,
and I failed
actually.
it, but I took it.
So Stu knows what not to do in films. That's why he can speak with some
I
authority on this.
am the most qualified because I've got a B in film studies, so you don't count, and you're a pervert. Reading back what you said in the film, and you said "fucker" in the
I was
flood.
so bored. Okay, I saw you see his dead wife standing there, she's covered in blood, and he's getting all horny walking up to her. I'm like, yeah, fuck her right in her own blood. But that was just because I was bored,
I
man.
think I went away when you said that.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so
I mean,
Okay.
there's some morbid, funny stuff in this movie, though. Like the girl saying, "I'm dead."
Okay, that was goofy.
That was good.
That was goofy.
Yeah.
They should have.
I'll accept that.
They should have taken that.
If
scene
they'd
out.
done a whip pan to her saying, "I'm dead," it would have been straight up Parks and Rec.
So get back on track. The movie for me didn't get engaging until the final 15 minutes when they start...
just sit at a desk with a whiteboard and explain to you what happened.
Yeah.
You know how movies should
Oh,
end.
that's an oversimplification. But I want to know. So, Right, well, either of you or both of you at some point were saying, like, oh, it's not all mysteries that you feel this way about, it's just that this one was bad or whatever until the end.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a common thing. Not that mysteries or, like, murder type of plots are boring until the end. But, like, it's like Ben was saying, like, they're slow burns, right? And it's like, it's not until you get to the end that you can, like, look back on the rest of the movie and be like, oh, like, you can... That's why I enjoyed watching it, I think, more this second time maybe than the first time, because this is only my second time watching it and it's just a different experience because you know some of what's coming, so it just makes you appreciate the film differently.
Exactly.
I think okay, maybe
But
this
then
is
I've also again seen it before.
okay.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking, like, why...
Because like the first, hang on, let me think about it. I'm trying to remember the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched it like on my own, and it was way more atmospheric because it was like not at night, but like evening or whatever.
And we didn't have a huge fan going in the back.
Yeah.
So it didn't melt, yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, this obviously wasn't the best way to watch it. But still, even at the time, I was like, okay, every new detail. Because, like, it's very easy to tell going in that they're not exactly being honest with you and that everyone knows shit. But,
Yeah,
like,
but that's to
every
do with the
reveal-
tone. Like, it's film noir. Like, you know that something's up. But I didn't know the first time I was watching it. I thought that they were probably trying to slip him something so that he turned crazy the first time I watched it. So when it turned out that he'd actually been crazy all along.
So you came up with the conspiracy theory the woman in the cave had. Yeah, she's like, they turn people crazy and they don't want anyone to investigate them, so they drug them and turn them crazy.
Oh
as well.
yeah, I thought that she was real. I thought that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, at no point until he went into the lighthouse, at no point did I think he's been crazy all along. That's all that I'm saying. So
See, that was like one of the first things I thought the first time I watched it.
I
where I
guess
was
you're
like,
just really fucking smart then, Matthew.
well, he's like hallucinating on camera in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Also, did it bother anyone else? Like, it clearly bothered me because I wouldn't shut up about it, but like, he starts the movie terrified of water, and then at the end he's like swimming to a lighthouse in a current.
Yeah.
And like
'Cause
climbing down wet rocks.
Because he cares for Chuck so much that he was willing to face his fears in order to get him back.
Yeah. Mark had ruffled his feathers, and and he had a thing for him. That's why he was able to swim again.
The movie should have just ended with those two fucking. It
Maybe.
would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the 50s, so they would have been like executed on
They
the
would have
spot.
ended up in the staying asylum anyway. Wind back a bit. This is probably a bad example, but one of my favourite movies is Knives Out. Have you seen it? Simon?
No, I've not.
It's
Okay.
one of Ben's favourite movies. It's in his top 100. I
Okay.
think.
It is.
Okay, and the thing is, it does that. What this movie does is where all the characters are fucking lying to you, and we kind of don't really know who knows. We know who knows what and what they're saying, and you have to follow them all. But it's done in a way we all hear their version of events of things. With this one, I wasn't even sure exactly what the fuck they were even investigating. Maybe
But
that
they
was.
said it. They said
Tell you
it
what they were
though.
investigating. It just wasn't that interesting.
But why?
'Cause, like, why would you bring in a marshal to like do like a detective style noir investigation of someone got out and we need a search party? What you need is like 50 normal cops.
Because it could
Like,
be
the
that.
premise was a bit.
I mean, maybe
and
that's
obviously
the
that's
point.
the conspiracy, but he never asks like.
It could be that that's like the whole point. The movie doesn't make sense because it's all in his head. So why would it make sense? That's why.
But that would. It's like we
This
said.
does not make sense because
But-
if Chewbacca lives with the child.
Right, but no, it's like we said though, there was a ruse. Like, so I get that. I was thinking like it's a little bit weird that they did like call him Marshall, like whilst he's like not even really doing like martially stuff. He's more kind of just there to sort of like investigate and find stuff out. But that part of it didn't bother me so much because when they're in that cabin or whatever they're in, like during the storm, and he tells Chuck that the real reason why he accepted the job was because he wanted to find the guy that he thinks like set the house on fire. So maybe in his mind he was like not really thinking too deep about it in order to like just get on the island and get to like track this guy down. Like that part of it didn't bother me so much.
I mean, they did have that discussion where they were like, they didn't know who they were going to send, so that's why I took it or whatever.
Yeah, and that I thought like Stuart kept saying like, oh, like why do we care about this guy and everything? But I think that like providing that backstory kind of like did give reasonable motivation for his character, which I think did kind of I was like interested in his journey and everything he had going on.
Yeah, I will say, like, I give this one like a 9 out of 10, which is still like a really great film. But the reason I deduct points from it is partly down to 2 reasons. One,
Carry mine.
you're a
Wow.
you're the fucking
Matthew is just
worst.
on fire at the moment.
You're the
with
fucking
these
worst. Oh yeah, let's
Just drink your drink.
Hang on.
Just drink your
No,
drink.
no, no.
But
let's-
can we stay on topic,
No, no,
please?
no, let's
I'm
not.
so warm.
No,
So really hot.
shut up. I'm going to crinkle a fab into the microphone.
Finish your point.
Say what you.
So-
why is it a 9 out of 10?
Yeah,
Why do
it's
you
a 9 out of
subtract
10.
points?
Like, I subtract points, one, because of the fucking CGI in some places.
Oh,
Jesus
yeah.
Green
Christ. That was the thing that I'm surprised you didn't bring up that more. Like, Christ, if there was something to take you out of it, it was that.
Yeah.
The green
I
screen
mean, we
was...
mentioned it enough. The bit where he's driving with the warden,
Yeah.
and like in the background, there's constant bright light coming
Ye-
through the gaps in the trees, and they are perfectly grey.
There's that.
The whole
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
And I will say as well, I will concede the film does have a couple of pacing issues. There are some parts of the film where you think there's not a lot happening here. Like parts of the film that you could just
Yeah,
cut out
that's fair.
entirely. But I think the good outweighs the bad here. There are still moments that I remember from the film.
So, a staple of Walked Out, you'd say this movie suffers from a case of the bad butterflies.
Not really. Like,
The CGI is not that bad.
no.
I thought so.
Oh god, I just got that. No. Fuck
What
you.
did you think he meant?
I don't know.
That was an
He was
in-joke.
joking about Jojo Rabbit being a
Yeah.
bad movie.
Oh my god.
I think he might be being too much of a dick this episode. It's because I had like 6 drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt was just sat here getting fucking bladdered the entire time.
Not that much. Like, it's 4 cans of 4%.
Yeah.
No, at least Matt, at least Ben and I and Simon are just having heat stroke very slowly. Matt is just shit faced
With heat stroke.
with
Yeah.
heat
Which
stroke.
helps.
Yeah.
I'd give the film like a 7 out of 10 or something. I feel like I'm defending it harder than I normally would because I feel like you guys are being overly critical about it.
We were dunking on it.
I'll be
So
honest-
you wouldn't put it in even your top 100, though?
I don't know if I've seen 100 films.
Jesus
So maybe-
Christ, what are you even doing
I
here?
thought I might even put Shark Boy and Lava Girl in my top 100.
The thing is,
No, not really, but
I'd put
Yeah.
this as... I wouldn't even put it on any list. This is just such a fucking over-stylized nothing of a movie where he just sort of meanders about, talking in mystery jargon, trying to go, ooh, look how noir we are. Ah, what? I'm smoking my cigarettes and squinting.
I like the car.
Yeah.
I think with these types of films, it is quite subjective. Like, have you guys seen Memento?
No.
Yes.
oh, that's on my list to see. I
Memento
want to
is
see that
really
so
good.
bad.
What have you seen? What do you think of it?
I think Memento is pretty excellent, actually.
Oh, see, I thought like it goes for like a similar slow burn to this, where it's like events slowly get revealed and whatever, and it's quite stylized and
But it
whatever.
does it in a twisty way, which
I
is clever.
did not like it. I was bored out of my fucking mind.
Really?
Yeah, like.
What did you think of the whole like, structure of it, where
well,
they do the
I was
whole
actually-
movie's in reverse?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up structure. So I don't like that the film is in reverse because you know the climax, and once I know that, I lose interest.
Oh.
If I know how a film ends, it's like, well,
I see why you're bad at sex. The
I've-
climax isn't the whole point.
Yeah.
What?
what?
Oh, no.
No, you're a pervert as well.
That's I've told you before what my biggest gripe is with, in terms of like movies that do that, give away the ending first, right?
Yeah.
What did you remember? What film I said?
What was it?
I'll
Was it
say
Knives
Can't
Out,
off the-
where they
I'm-
show you
I'm
No.
too
something?
hot.
no, because I've not seen it. It's Kill Bill Volume 1.
Oh.
They showed the murder of the fucking second girl before she's gone through and done all of that shit with the I don't remember the characters' names, but in like the Asian temple.
I know exactly what you mean. I don't think it's the same, though. Like, I think... That movies... Obviously...
What was the point in the final conflict if you know that she survived within the first 2 minutes of your film?
See, but I will.
I'm trying to remember that.
I guess
part
it's
of the film,
movie
'cause
logic,
I feel
though,
like he
you-
walks away from her like dying on the ground, doesn't he?
The thing is, she...
That's
you
at the
know...
very beginning, but then right after that, there's a scene where she kills number 2, and then it has the rest of the movie leading up to that
The
point.
thing is, okay,
To be
yeah,
honest,
she
when I
spends the
watched
whole...
the Kill Bills, they were just on TV and just kind of entertaining
Yeah.
fight scenes.
I haven't seen it in a long enough time, but the thing is, that movie, that it's goofy ass, weird anime fight scenes and shit, and
They would have been so cool if you didn't know the ending.
I disagree. Like, she's the main character.
Yeah.
Like, of course she's gonna fucking survive.
I
Well,
will.
no, you
that's
can't say
not
about
necessarily
Pulp Fiction, can you? It's another Quentin Tarantino film. The main guy doesn't survive at the end of that.
So I am actually going to defend Kill Bill here and say that I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I do think it like takes it out of the elements
It's
a
very
little
kind,
bit.
very kind.
But with Kill Bill, I watched them for the same reason that I watched John Wick films. It's because they are just so much fucking fun. I don't
They're like
don't
a massive homage
care
to like
so much about the story as like
A Martin Scorsese film.
individual scenes.
Yeah.
But Memento and this require the larger story. They can't rely on individual scenes because the individual scenes are quite slow and they're not very memorable. It requires like the larger story.
Which, to bring it all back, that's why I don't enjoy this movie. It has one good scene in it, and that's when they're laying it all on the table and explaining it to you. That whole bit is really well done. That whole scene where he walks in and sees his kids all drowned and her being all weird about it.
Oh, I thought you meant when it explains to you when he walks in on Gandhi.
No, okay, that whole bit, that plus that is part of the explanation.
Yeah, because
Those two
I thought
bits-
you like because that bit where he's explaining it is like, all right.
Yeah, those two bits together, I think are really well done, and I really enjoyed, and I was engaged
in the movie in that scene.
Yeah, I was engaged. It's because they put the noir shit aside, they put the mystery aside, and
They
just
turned
like,
the sun back on.
and they just, they said, okay, let's make an actual fucking movie, and that's when I actually got engaged because they're not trying to write it as if, oh wait, no, cut that line out. We can't say that. Cut that out. Okay, well, okay. Where were you last night? Well. Gee, what kind of a question is that? No, it's like, oh, I was in the butcher shop, not murdering my husband.
I
Okay,
think
great.
That. I'll accept that point because like that the film is like quite subjective as to whether you like it. You can say that about any film.
Every film, yeah.
But like that, I think from what you've said, you don't enjoy like the noir kind of stylized, caricatured genre where it's like everyone speaks like this and hey, what are you doing last night? Gee, I don't know. And smokes it and everything's smoky. I'll say the same thing about prison films. I don't like prison films or prison TV shows. It doesn't matter how good they're like.
Prison films apart from like The Longest Yard.
Yeah, well, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yeah, okay, that's
like I can appreciate the story of it, but me trying to watch that film from start to finish, I won't make it.
If this movie had the narration from Shawshank Redemption, I would like it more.
That feels like a very sweeping statement.
I'll be honest,
Morgan Freeman.
To be honest, Morgan
Shawshank
Freeman
Redemption.
narrating things makes a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
I'll be honest, if this movie had a noir narration of if Leonardo DiCaprio was narrating the whole time, maybe I would have been a bit more engaged because at least then we would have had a trail of thought to follow at the very least.
Nah, I don't think.
I don't know.
I think then you would have been like,
if
oh,
you're
he's
willing
explaining
to
too
sit
much.
there and like just learn things as the movie gives you them, rather than like wondering doesn't really bother you, then it's quite decent. Because I was pretty open-minded the first time I watched it, and there were some interesting parts about rewatching it, like Simon said. Like, because I know, obviously, he's the, like, not the villain, he's the victim or whatever. So the bit where he's, like, questioning everyone about all the orderlies are in a room and no one wants to tell him about the therapy session. Watching that the second time, knowing they all know him and have talked to him for 2 years and that he's just fucking insane. They were like, obviously they're like, well, weren't you in that therapy session?
Yeah.
And they're all just sort of pointing at people and not saying anything.
That's cool.
That was kind of interesting, but still not really enough.
That's another thing. Going in, I've not seen the movie before, but I knew he was an inmate the whole time because the internet's a thing and everyone likes to share spoilers for 20-year-old movies or whatever. I was like, where does reality end and the fantasy begin, and vice versa? Like, there was very little indication of that outside of, say, a few scenes, like when he's taking tablets. The lightning striking is obviously he's in a room, they're shining a fucking light at him, and they're telling him to take his tablets, But otherwise, it's like a very normal situation.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Do you think that if you didn't know going in, or think that you knew that he was going to be a patient, and you didn't have that in the back of your mind, and you were like waiting for that to happen, do you feel like you would have seen the movie differently to how you did?
I don't know, but I do say my earlier points I've made about me not being engaged would have stood.
But do you think that you weren't engaged because you were just like, oh, when are they going to get to the reveal? Because you said like you
Maybe.
feel like you know the twist. So
Maybe.
if you don't know that there's a twist coming, then maybe you'd have been like kind of a bit more tentative.
Maybe you're right.
See, I also have an answer to your question though, because the first time I watched it, I didn't know the twist.
Okay.
Like I watched it literally because someone at uni was like, "You should watch these movies," and I watched them, and like, even then, I still like one of my first thoughts 5 minutes in was like, "Oh, he's patient." Like maybe that's the twist, which kind of
I will
even
say,
going in blank, I couldn't like not come up with it.
will say, right, so Matt, you concede that you've never studied film as a
Better have a
education.
fucking point.
Hold on, it does have a point. You've never studied film as an education, correct?
Mostly correct.
Okay.
I did like a side course at college as well.
And Stu, that doesn't count. That's a joke of a course.
I
I
know.
did it as well.
Okay,
All you
Ben,
did
Well,
was
no,
watch
I did a different
films.
one to
Guys,
you. I did the film.
It's really hot. Do you have a point?
It does. I do have a point. I do.
Okay.
And
He's building up to the point that he's
buddy,
correct.
you concede that knowing the twist may have impacted your enjoyment of the film.
Okay, but Matt was making a point beforehand.
No,
Matt,
no.
can you finish that point?
Oh, what was my point?
You watched
I
it.
don't know.
You had seen it before.
Oh, as in like what Simon said about like going
Yeah.
in it as a blank slate. I
Yeah.
did do that, and it was still met.
Okay, there
Partly
we go.
because
But
I thought of the idea that maybe he's a patient or he's insane pretty quickly.
Okay.
But do you concede that knowing the twist may have impacted your enjoyment of the film?
Yeah.
Well, then we've got him. We've got him, Simon.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's never studied a film in his life,
Yeah.
and this guy's just admitted
let everything
that
get ruined
he
for him.
spoiled the film
I
for
like how
himself.
you changed
So-
from
yeah.
never studied
No, no,
film
no.
to never studied a film.
No, never studied
I've
any
never
film
had to write a
whatsoever.
fucking movie report
So
in my life.
neither of your opinions count. Ours do,
Yeah.
because we're the
Okay.
greatest, and this
I
film
don't
rocks.
mean to brag, but I
Yeah.
studied media studies at
Oh, we all did
A-levels.
media
Yeah.
studies apart from Matt. That doesn't
Damn
count.
straight.
Media is studies about
What?
industry, not about making movies.
Excuse me, I learned about flipping.
MS Paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. What
Exactly,
you say to
and
that?
that's a good
As a
enough qualification
BSc
for me.
Ons of computer science, I will tell you that this movie CGI was shit.
Yeah. Okay. To move on to the final bit, one thing I really want to know is why is this movie your number 98?
I thought it was a solid mystery film with a couple of issues with one of the best endings I've seen in a film ever.
But you would rate
I
it
feel like
higher than
I'm
Catch
just-
Me If You Can
So,
and 28 Days.
Having rewatched it,
Yeah.
and this is the first time I've rewatched it in a while, I would say Catch Me If You Can is a better film.
Oh, we have a change in the list.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
the first time
yeah.
that's happened.
Okay.
Well, Simon, you've changed things.
I would.
I have.
Yeah.
We're going to need you to come back once every week for 2 years.
I'm actually going to
Yeah.
change that on my list, not the one that I've saved for the podcast. but
Oh,
my list
okay.
Right now.
We've got a change of list.
Yep, it's
Okay.
happening, baby.
We're making.
Is this a success or?
I feel like when we started this podcast, we underestimated how many 100 movies is.
Yeah.
Because, like, the 100th best movie, they're fine. Like, I kind of thought even 100... Because you've seen a lot of movies, Ben, because you're alone.
Wow.
Sorry, that was me. I didn't mean that.
Thank you.
You've seen a lot of movies because you studied media
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
But, yeah, like, it seems like even by 98, they should be better than this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got like.
You guys are
No, I mean, look,
savage.
what's like
No,
90?
no. Okay, we've got
Let's
like.
not get too digressed.
Here we go.
I want to turn the fans back
Okay,
on.
he's got Return of the Jedi as 90, so he really just rolled.
Yeah.
Well,
But then we've got like all of these contenders.
Okay, so, where on your list have you moved it to now?
He's moved up
99.
one.
What? So it's number 99.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I moved
No.
I moved it down one.
You've moved it down one.
What did you think he was going to do?
I don't know, not 99.
You thought he was taking it out of the 100.
Maybe put it as like 110 or some
Catch Me If You
shit.
Can is above it now.
Fine.
so there's a chance that there could be a film that comes out within like before you finish the end of this podcast
But-
that comes into your top 100.
Yeah, I'm sort of trying to think of when like the most recent film
Okay.
that I saw was out into the. It was probably Everything Everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
As
that was a
a-
good movie. Are you going to put Nope in there?
Probably not in the top 100.
Oh.
Close.
Because it's really
but-
good.
Yeah.
Do you have
Close.
Get Out or Us in there? I would put Us in
I
there,
haven't
probably
seen-
not Get
I-
Out,
I
and maybe
haven't-
Nope.
I haven't seen Us. I think Get Out is 55.
Ooh.
All right. As our closing-ish point, then, me and Matt, where on the list do you think we would put it? I would honestly take it out of the list entirely.
Out
I'd
of
put
the list.
Yeah, out of the
Not
list.
100th best movie.
Not 100th best movie at all. I'd take it out. I don't think it belongs there.
Agreed.
Okay, since it's up to us. Okay,
I hope
so
that handshake
it's out of the
registered
list.
on the microphone.
So we'll eventually, we shook hands and agreed.
Hold on, we've got a guest. We've got a guest veto here.
Oh,
no, but it's fine because next week will happen and he won't be here.
No, but
and so we can just veto
Nor
it.
will I. You'll have to replace me next week.
Exactly.
You can
Simon,
host.
would you like to veto this decision that's been made?
What would that? So it
You,
stays
you
in the
would
list.
you would justify it being on the top 100.
I think there's justification for it being in the top 100.
All right, and I agree that as well. We've shaken on it.
Well, that's half
And,
and half.
Fine, number 100 exactly.
Okay, we need a tiebreaker. Darth Vader? No. This is a shit. Okay. Darth Vader.
Fine, you know what? If it's got to be on the list, 100 exactly.
I would say 101.
I want to ask real quick. So Ben says 9 out of 10. I say 7. I'm curious what you two would say.
I don't know.
6 or 7.
I don't really rate it out of 10. I don't do that on principle.
Well, Matt said 6 or
I'm
7.
basing mine on the first time I watched it, because this time, again, was not the best environment. But even then, 6 or 7.
Well, I'm sorry my flat isn't up to your fucking standards.
I'm really hot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We should end this episode
Do
so I can cool down.
Okay. Alright, fine. Well, for argument's sake, we're going to put it on number 100. Ben, what is movie number 97?
American Psycho.
Oh,
That's an interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So next week, month, year, or season, we'll be watching American Psycho, featuring the Christian Bale, and he's going to tell us why it's not possible, you stupid bastard. The meme. All right.
Yeah. I feel like I'm learning from this podcast that Ben's taste is quite basic.
He is
And
pretty
that's
basic.
the end of our show.
Okay. See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for coming, Simon. Plug your Twitter or whatever.